Have you ever let a single careless insult ruin your entire afternoon? Or found yourself frozen in a high-pressure moment, watching someone else step in and take charge of the room? Most people today operate on immediate impulse. When a situation becomes tense, they react to the biological spike of adrenaline, allowing the external world to dictate their internal state. This is an emotional hijack. Manipulators and toxic personalities use these triggers because they know that once they get a reaction, they essentially hold the remote control to your brain. To reclaim that control, we are going to install a 4-step stoic response system, a protocol designed to process triggers and output composed confidence. Developing this level of control is not a personality trait. It is a step-by-step mental framework that must be engineered. Imagine a scenario where someone throws a sharp public insult directly at you. Your first move is step 1, escape the hijack. Take one slow, deep breath and physically delay your response. In those few seconds, the initial biological urge to snap back begins to subside, providing the space needed for a logical evaluation of the situation. Responding in the exact second of impact guarantees a reaction based on shock rather than strategy, leading to decisions you'll likely regret once the adrenaline fades. Once you have that breathing room, you execute step 2, weaponize the ego. A weak mindset interprets any criticism as a personal attack that requires a defensive shield. You need to recognize that defensive inner monologue and replace it with a specific, focused script. Watch me. This shift converts the energy from that initial spike of anger into a disciplined drive to improve, turning the person who doubted you into a source of motivation. By intentionally severing the emotional spike, you create the mental room to transform incoming hostility into personal fuel. Now that the emotional energy is managed, you can shift your focus to the actual content of the words spoken. This is step 3, apply the learning filter. Instead of seeing an attacker as an enemy, view them as a mirror reflecting information back to you. Ask yourself if there is any objective truth buried inside the harsh words. Even if the delivery was toxic, the information itself might be valid. Extracting a piece of useful feedback neutralizes the insult because you've gained something valuable while the attacker gained nothing. A defensive ego will instinctively dismiss all feedback to protect itself, but this only limits your potential and keeps you stagnant. A man with a resilient mindset disarms his critics by harvesting their words to identify and address his weaknesses. Step 4 is the final execution, dominant silence. This is where you project your internal control outward. We are often taught that the loudest person in the room is the one in charge, but shouting usually signals a lack of control over the situation. Instead of arguing, lock your eyes onto the aggressor and simply do not speak. Maintain this eye contact for 1 to 3 seconds. This works because an attacker expects a defensive reaction. When you provide a void of silence, you force them to sit with the weight of their words, causing them to backpedal. The key is consistency. If you look away or start yelling, you have given them the reaction they were looking for. By staying silent, you force the other person to fill the gap, usually leading them to weaken their own position as they try to justify their outburst. Control is demonstrated by showing that your internal state remains steady, regardless of what is happening around you. You have now reviewed the full protocol: detach, reframe, extract, and pause. Applying these steps regularly builds a resilient mental frame where your emotions serve as indicators rather than directors of your actions. You will find that you are no longer easily triggered, as you now have a systematic way to process hostility and disarm confrontations. To complement this mental shift, you must also master the outward physical presence that signals this level of confidence to others. Click the video on your screen right now to learn the specific body language required to project authority from the moment you enter a room. I'll see you there.